think the thumbs up means live. Is that what that means? We haven't worked out our whole queuing system yet.
Yeah, it works.
Sometimes it's a wink. That makes me uncomfortable. So welcome, Kiko.
Thanks.
To base camp, Marquette, Michigan.
Thanks for having me over.
Oh, yeah. How do you say your last name?
Well, Kiko's not even my name.
What's really?
Nope.
Well, then let's unpack that.
All right.
What is your real name?
Henrique Arnaldo de Melo e Silva. There's 6 parts to it.
Okay, we're gonna stick with Kiko.
Yeah, Kiko's good.
I did not know that.
I've been called Kiko since I was born. So
Really?
yeah.
And what is that connected to?
My grandma, my mom's mom, wanted to name me Francisco after her dad, and that's a common nickname for Francisco, Kiko. So.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been called Kiko forever.
Anybody else in the family been referred to as Kiko?
No.
So from Francisco
From Francisco, yeah.
to Kiko.
Yeah. But it has nothing to do with my name, But
Yeah.
I've been called that.
It's unique.
Yeah, it's a common nickname down there. And so it's been that.
So I guess explain, because you and I talked about this on the ride over while we were picking up bikes.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about, I don't know if Mark caught it, if you recorded it or not, but you referred to yourself as a brazooper.
Yeah.
Which is a new term coming to you from Made Up. What is a brazooper? Where are you from? Let's share the story a little bit.
I'm originally from Brazil and came to the U.S. back in '87. I was 15 as an exchange student to South Haven, Michigan, like right on Lake Michigan, west of Kalamazoo.
Yep.
And
got an adventure team down there now in Kalamazoo.
Nice.
Yep.
And I ended up staying a year, decided to stay longer, another year and a half, finished high school, and I wanted to be an engineer, and ended up landing in Houghton in 1990. And I basically been up there since then. Left to work downstate after I graduated, traveled a crap load, but I've been permanently there pretty much since I went back to grad school in 2000, I think it was, and been there permanently since then.
So you're at Tech.
Yep.
And what do you do at Tech?
I work for the CEGE department, Civil Environmental and Geospatial Engineering department. I'm a research engineer there, but really jack of all trades. Will do whatever needs to be done.
Give an example of something you would do, something you'd be tasked with.
Fixing broken stuff.
Fixing broken stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Is that everything basically, if it's broken and needs to be fixed, it's coming to you?
It comes to me, right? I either fix it myself or we line something up for it to be fixed. A lot of purchasing, supplies, make sure labs are okay.
Okay.
And just helping with research. It's just research support would be probably the best way to do it. Lab support, research support.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since 2010.
So you must enjoy it.
I do like it. I work, it's academia, right? So it's a little bit different than industry. I worked in industry before, so this is a little bit different. Than that, there's a lot more flexibility.
Where you are now?
Yeah, compared to the industry, right?
Yeah.
The deliverables are a little bit different.
Right.
And there is a side of you can play with things, right? Curiosity, trying new things, and how about this and how about that. So on the research side, right, you're not repeating things that people have done. You're usually trying something new.
Right.
So that's a fun part of it. And I got the staff that in our department is the best there is. And I got a great boss as well. Best boss I ever had. And so it's been really good.
Who's the boss?
Audra Morse. So she's the department chair.
Shout out to Kiko's cool boss.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to make sure to share this. Maybe I'll get a raise out of this,
We'll put this in a reel, and we're going to put it across Facebook and Instagram for you.
There you go.
Yeah, it'll be like, there'll be some hashtag, give Kiko a raise.
There you go. I'm all for it.
Well, I could tell that you like to fix things or build things or make things when I was at your house. because you gave me the tour on the property.
Yep.
Got a big project going on there.
I do. It's about 1,100 square feet, and I'm hitting my 8th year of trying to finish this house.
Was it 3 stories? Right?
Yeah.
Because we walked in.
That's the basement.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's a finished basement.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 levels above that.
Yeah.
So.
Really cool. Describe it. I was trying to describe it to Mark after I came back on Monday, or maybe when I saw him on Tuesday. Describe the, where it is tucked into the woods there, because it's super cool.
This is like Kentucky and West Virginia meets Alaska, right? It's a hollow. There's the Pewabic. We live in this place called Pewabic Loop.
Yep.
There's the Pewabic Creek. That's what we call it. And it's got hills in the back and both sides of it. You cannot see the house from the road. It's about 3 acres and a third, about 400 feet by 400 feet. And it's got the Ripley ski hill to the east of us. That's our neighbor there. And I got a sauna there, and this house we're building. There was an old house there that we tore down using Craigslist. It took 2.5 months to do it. That was amazing. What people took was incredible. I just posted it on Craigslist, and people
smart.
People just showed up and took stuff, and the stories were just something else. And my wife Sarah had the idea of having pictures and people tell the story. So at some point, maybe we make a scrapbook of sorts of how.
So you have pictures of everybody that came and took stuff?
She has a bunch of it.
That's cool.
She asked people to send pictures, what they did with it, and it was just really interesting. It's really interesting.
What's the elevation gain from the canal? So water level?
It's about 600 feet, right? That's
to the top of the hill behind your property. Is it 600 feet?
I don't know. That's a good question, right? It's basically Quincy Mine, right? That's what behind there is. I don't know.
We should figure that out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put it in Crusher.
There's a trail. There is a trail.
Is it by the railroad tracks there?
Yeah. In the back. Yeah. It goes all the way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to bring them down.
It could be fun.
We came down that in 21, first day or first night of Adventurous. Came down by the tracks.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah. I'm just east of that, not far from there.
Okay. Sure.
So there's a trail that comes down that somewhat parallels the track that goes down. And that was my I never practiced for anything, but I did commit to some work of sorts before I did the Marji 100 last year. And I created a loop, and I would do a loop that was absolutely terrible. Walking, no bike. And that was my time to think and just do this loop back there. So
you walked it?
I walked it.
You didn't take your bike and push it?
No, and when I should have, right? That would have been a harder work.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, but it was more of a walking thing.
Okay.
And getting that down,
You should actually turn that in. You should coin that as a workout.
Well,
right?
It was.
And then sell it.
Right. It wasn't so much, and people would buy it. That's the crazy thing. It wasn't so much of a training thing. It was just to try to get into that space, right?
Yeah.
Because when that happened, you're like, okay, it's the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So before we dive into Crusher, what else do we want to unpack about Kiko? What we should talk about? We should talk about your bike.
Yeah.
That's important to qualify for anybody who doesn't know you. Talk about, because, as we get into Crusher, the classic Crusher question that comes up every year to the point that I just want to pass out is, what bike should I use? What bike, Kiko, do you use for everything that you do?
Everything that I do is on a 24-inch BMX cruiser. One rear brake and, one speed. So it's a BMX bike. It's not a mountain bike that was modified. It's a BMX bike.
So you've done the Crusher 225, the EX225.
I've done the EX100, the EX225,
yep.
the MG50
yep.
twice,
yep.
and then the MG100.
All on the 24-inch
yes.
BMX.
Yes. Yep. And then, Miner's Revenge,
yep.
Great Deer Chase, the Trails Fast in Copper Harbor. all on that.
Describe your setup. So you got the bike. Do you have packs on it? You must wear a backpack for this long stuff?
Yeah. I got a seat post that's about a mile long, really long seat post, and the bike has as big of tires as I can fit on it. And I just changed the frame on this bike before the Marji, so I could have disc brakes on it, because that's not an experience that I would recommend. Is if it rains. It's just something not worth it.
Yeah, if it rains and you're out there with the rim brakes,
and I just got the rear one, it's just not a good deal.
Rain during Marji in general would not be a good deal,
right? And and the 2 times that I did the Marji, the 50 for sure the first time, and there was another one I can't remember. Maybe it was the Crusher. I don't know. Is that I have a mountain bike, single speed, 26-inch. It has disc brakes on it. And I always brought it in case of rain, right? If it rains, I would default to that just to be able to do it. So it hasn't rained.
Is the video that Aaron did for you, is it online?
It is, but that's something that we would have to ask Aaron if we can share it.
Can you see
a link? I have a link to it, and I can share with you guys if it's okay with him. And the reason
it's not public.
That's the caveat here.
Okay.
If this thing is out there and everybody gets to see it, it's harder for him to put it in festivals and kind of sell the idea, right? It goes, just don't share it yet because I think we can get this in some festivals. Now, it may have been long enough that it's okay now. So I'll just clear with him.
Got it. Can you see if it's up online?
Yeah, I have a link. Aaron shared it with me. So are you looking for just an image?
I want an image of him on his bike from Marji.
I was just looking for one.
Yeah, let's get that. We'll throw that on the monitor just so we can bring to life the ridiculousness of this BMX bike at Marji Gesick.
And as far as the setup for the bike, the only thing that's odd in that bike is that my gear ratio is low, a lot lower than a BMX bike would be, right? My sprocket up front is really small. Still got a 16-tooth freewheel on there. I do not believe in cassettes, so it's a freewheel. And it's got a really long seat post. Mm-hmm. Besides that, it's pretty much a BMX bike. I carry what I can strapped to it, usually off the seat post. I got a bag up front, top tube bag, a bag, and then a bag on the handlebars, little stuff, and then a backpack. So I carry what I guess.
How much are you actually riding that thing at Marji Gesick?
I can ride pretty much all the downhills. The stuff I don't ride is just a matter of if I get hurt here,
right? It
could end, right?
Yeah.
But I can ride pretty much everything that goes downhill in that thing, and it's not a problem. And all the flats, no problem. And then it depends on the uphill because it's a really good punchy machine.
Yeah.
So depending on the uphill, there's nothing better. You're not switching gears. You just do it, right?
Yep.
So if anything that's punchy, no problem. Mm-hmm. And then you measure your effort. There's a lot of calculation that goes into that. One thing about that bike that is wonderful, it's really easy for me to get on and off.
Yeah.
So I mount that thing on and off. It's seamless.
Yeah, not an issue getting on and off of it.
No, it's not. So it's really the effort that most people have. Oh, I got to get off. I got to unclip. I got to do this and that. And then I got to get back on it. For me, is really effortless, right?
Yeah.
So every hill that I hit, there's a calculation.
Yeah.
Is that easy to get off and push?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I just punch through this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because could I ride a bunch of uphills that I don't? Absolutely. Is that worth it for the whole mission?
Well, you'd be burning matches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So not gonna do it. Right?
Yeah.
So
you also, how long did it take you to Crusher the EX225?
Around
5 days?
79 hours, I think.
79 hours.
Something like that. Yeah. Close to 80 hours.
Okay.
I spent
Here we go.
1, 2. Yep, that's it right there.
Look at that beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's my setup there for Marji, and then the Crusher one. Have my backpack with like a BV/sleeping pad that I'll bring with me.
What's that say on the down tube? Drunk Train Polka?
Yep, Drunk Train Polka.
What is that?
That's just a name that came up. That was my email address. I needed an email address, so it started with drunktrainpolka@hotmail.com.
How old is this bike?
The frame on it is new. I got it for Marji, so I would have disc brakes on the rear.
Okay.
But the cranks are over 30 years old. So I got parts in here that are really, really old on this bike.
Gotcha.
The seat is really old. The handlebars are really old. The cranks are really old. The pedals are used, you know.
Yeah. What's going on here? Why don't you have a frame pack in there?
I could make one,
Yeah.
but it would have to be custom made, and
Yeah.
it would have a hard time fitting on any other frame that I would end up getting. So
I mean, custom pack makers, get shout out to James.
Yeah.
Come on, get a pack on Kiko's rig. What the hell's going on here? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
it would help, actually.
With accordion patterns on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, let's do this up. Come on.
And this thing rides like a dream. You wouldn't believe it. It is awesome. It is really, really awesome. So it's got flip-flop hubs on the rear, and then I got an adapter on the flip side, so
Yeah.
I could put the disc on there, as opposed to getting a disc ready hub.
Yeah.
Just trying to be as much of a purist as I can BMX wise. So high flange hubs, TNT hubs. That's BMX through and through right there. So
You know, I look at this and I think to myself, it's just another affirmation for me that the shit that most people fret over and make a big deal out of and throw money at, like, it isn't so much about the bike as it is the person on the bike and their mindset.
yes,
Their state of mind.
that is exactly it. I've done the Copper Harbor Trails Club many times on BMX bikes. I only used a mountain bike, single speed mountain bike once when I did the long one first time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even do the short race anymore. It's the BMX bike on the long race, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the Marji came around, and well, I should back up. I watched Aaron's video that he made for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is a jam. It's unbelievable. And I watch it once in a while. And I watched that thing. I knew nothing about the margin. Somehow I came across the video.
You're talking about Blame Danny.
Yes.
Yeah, the video.
Yeah. And I watched that thing and I'm like, I think I got something here, right? And I was going to sign up for the 100, but then there was cutoff times and all that. I'm like, let's bite some weekend chew here. I think I can do the 50 on this thing.
Yeah.
So I did it 2018. That's when I first did it.
It just makes me chuckle. It makes me smile because I think of guys that come and they're on these, super expensive carbon S-Works or Trek or the latest, greatest, right? And they don't make it. They don't finish. And it's all sorts of reasons why they quit.
Right.
It's never themselves. It's something else on the exterior to blame. And then here you are doing Marji and Crusher and all these other events on a BMX bike, and you just got a great attitude about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out there. Somebody has any trouble, I'll help them with. I mean, no hurry. I just want to finish. That's it, right? I don't want to stop. I'm just out there having fun.
So when you did Marji last year,
Yep.
You finished after the cutoff.
Yeah, I finished I don't know. It took me 31 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I got there mid-afternoon.
Yeah. So you would have missed it by like 6 hours.
Yeah.
If somebody were to say to you, like, I don't understand why you did that.
Right.
Why'd you stay out there? It was past cutoff. It doesn't count.
Right.
What would you tell them?
What else am I going to do, right? I wouldn't feel right if I stopped.
And why not?
Because there's no reason to, right? I don't have a baby being born someplace and I didn't get a phone call that my mom is sick or something. There's no reason. And I just think I would feel terrible that, if I broke an arm, sure.
Mm-hmm.
If my frame broke, sure. Right. But no, there was no reason. There's no reason to quit.
So even though you're past cutoff,
Yeah.
for you still see a value in going out and finishing what you started.
Absolutely. Let me say this too as well. I always wanted to do it. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this and see what happens, right?
Yep.
I was able to buy a registration because I couldn't register. So I bought one. Someone offered it to me, and I'm like, well, they offered it to me. I got to take it. Right? Can't say no. So it's happening. So I prepared for it, mentally mostly. And there was the whole Aaron video thing happening already, right? And I had
Before
before
you were signed up.
I was signed up, that he came and got some footage and all that, and then we'll come to, you're gonna do Margie, yeah, so we'll come in, right? And then I had a friend of mine that died by suicide, a kid, friends of the family, and
This is leading up to Margie?
yes, and with those two things, and I modified my number plate. Her name was America Gale, and so I duct taped Marji Gesick and wrote America Gale on there, and there was absolutely no way with her and Aaron being there that I wasn't gonna finish this thing. It was very hard. Getting to the park the first time was good. I got there with Jenny Ecker. We got there together. She was in the 200, so we rode a little bit together. We got there. It was just getting dark. And here we go, right? Let's see what happens now, because it gets to be a little more serious.
So you were headed in the first loop of Ramba.
First loop.
As it's getting dark.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, 9 p.m., something like that. I don't know.
How many hours did it take?
I got back there, I think around 6 a.m. for the first loop.
Seriously?
Yes.
So you were approximating at 9 p.m.
Yeah, something like that. I would have to look it up.
And you got back at 6 a.m. Sunday morning.
Yes. That was
Bro.
that was tough. What people sometimes fail to realize is, and I'm not patting myself on the back by any means here, is that 30 hours on a bike is still 30 hours on a bike.
Yeah.
Or 30 hours out there, right? It doesn't really matter how far you went. You're still pushing and pedaling.
Oh, for sure.
30 hours, right?
It's 30 hours of effort.
Right. So it's something not to be taken lightly.
Right.
So I leave that thing, and then I had to eat some food there. It didn't feel the greatest, right? And I had a lot of trouble on that loop. And that loop, when you do it during the day, is my absolutely favorite. That's the best part of the Margie, is that first loop.
Yeah.
I love it. The historical side of it, and all the mountain stuff, and the rails, and where you go.
Yeah. There's history.
Yes.
You're riding through history.
Yes. I love it. So I got to do it at night. Not as romantic, right? But you still get to recognize some of the places you were. But I had a really hard time with that first loop. Lights went out. I had some friends meet me close to the finish, and then I met Mark at the finish to just try to let you know, or folks know, that I'm doing this thing. I'm not, I just don't want you to worry about me.
Yeah.
So we visited for a little bit, but when I got back to the park to start the second loop, I had no lights. It started raining, and I'm like, I got to charge these lights, right? And I'm like, something, I went to the bathroom and slept for an hour, woke up, and I'm like, something, I'm going to sleep for another hour, waited for the sun to come up, and then I did the second, right, from the park to the finish.
So what time did you leave the park for the second? Well, basically the push.
8 a.m.
8 a.m., okay.
Yeah.
Half hour before the finish line closes.
Right.
You're leaving.
I had hopes when I got to the park the first time. It's like, maybe we can come close to this. No way. And so I left there, and that last leg was rough. That was rough. I wasn't in the best of places. Mm-hmm. That trail is a lot prettier at night. And
that one is better at night?
That one is better at night. I'll take that at night as opposed to during the day anytime. Yeah. There's a sense of camaraderie that goes on there. When
at night.
At night.
Yes.
And it's fun. And the race has become ridiculous at that point.
Yes.
Right? And you got all these people going through all their emotions. It's actually kind of funny, right? It's a study.
Oh, yeah.
It's a study of sorts.
For sure. On human behavior and
Right.
psychology, for sure.
But I was the only one doing this freaking thing.
Yes. So it wasn't as fun.
No, it was not.
It's just you and what you have going on in your head.
Yes.
And it's probably not great.
No, I mean the ride, the pushing the bike up to the water tank up there.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Right? and it was rough, but you just keep going.
Right.
You just keep going.
Quitting is not an option.
Yeah. The best part of the video that Aaron made is probably 45 seconds worth of it. That's the best part. It shows everybody finishing the Marji, and then it switches to me finishing the Marji.
Yep.
That's the coolest part of the whole video. I love it.
So I'm imagining when he's showing everybody else finishing, there's like a finish line and
oh yeah, there's people
pomp and
cheering,
circumstance.
There's the inflatable, right?
And then you come across and it's you.
There's nothing there. There's
Nothing.
zero.
Nothing and no one.
That was my friend Bill rode up the trail for a little bit, and we kind of, but I came roll in there. There were 3 people. That was it. So, but it got done. And
How many tokens did you get?
all of them. 4? Is that 4? I don't know, but I got them all. So
Did we had one on Jasper, didn't we? Didn't we have a dum-dum up there?
Yeah, I think.
yeah, I went up there.
And it was still there? The bin of dum-dums?
How about this? Somewhere, I don't remember where, probably on the first loop, I met some guy there that was taking stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah, probably Dave.
And I'm riding through and it's like, he's like, dude, the race is over. You didn't meet, you're not gonna, and like, dude, I'm gonna.
Here, you can take one.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So it's like, I'm gonna keep going. But it was just really weird to find someone there in the wee hours of taking the pumpkins down.
That was Kate. Kate was out there pulling.
Two people, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I
maybe?
think he had his wife with him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we kind of startled each other a little bit because it made no sense.
She was here from Germany.
Wow. Okay.
And so her vacation was chasing Dave Kate around Marquette County for a week for Marji Gesick.
No, I'll do it again. So one of these days.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to finish,
Yeah.
not signing up for the shit and not finishing it, however long it takes.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of people that have developed that mindset
Right.
through the events, or maybe they came into the events with that mindset, which is great.
Right.
That whole mindset that people have when they're not going to finish in the time that they wanted or within the circumstances that they envisioned,
Right.
or when they're going to pass the cutoff and then they're just like, fuck it, and they quit. Like, I just think that is such a terrible thing, especially when you look at the different things. Like, you just shared the story about your friend.
Yep.
And I think about, what's happened to Tara last year and what happened to Dave Caro before that. And then what happened to Jack Klein and Brett and all of them. Like, just, it's a constant reminder. Your time here is not guaranteed. It's limited. And you don't know when you're going to be punching the clock the last time.
We need to stop acting like we're going to live 1,000 years.
I know.
And I keep reminding myself of that all the time. What are we preparing for? Like, we're going to live a second life and do better?
Right.
Nope. That ain't happening.
It's not coming.
It's right now.
It's right here, right now.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't take, you can take, let's say you took a year to prepare for the Marji. You're serious about, you can go ahead and take 10 years to prepare for the Marji. And you know something, you're not going to do any better than if you take just 1 year to prepare.
Very true.
So
just go out and do it.
Better. Just do it. Just really do it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think because your experience of finishing is different from what everybody else's was. So there's also something unique to that.
Yeah.
Because if you're out there having that more common, or I'll say traditional finish, there's a lot of positives, as you know, to the camaraderie.
Yeah.
The stories. I mean, you see the videos that come out after the event of people somewhere out there at 3 a.m. and they're just bitching and cussing and fuck Todd and fuck Danny and all that stuff. And it's funny. That is one particular experience. You had that. and then you had something different
Right.
in the last 15.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer that there's a lot of value in different experiences.
Yep. And the crazy thing is, you know, I go out there and I had done the 50 twice. I had done the EX100, the EX225. And here I'm like, you know, I got this with the 100. I know I'm not going to make the cutoff time, but I got this. Bullshit. It was hard. That last, after getting out of that damn bathroom, packing up my shit and leaving that park alone.
Yeah.
With nothing there, and here we go.
Yeah.
That I was not prepared for that.
You had to want it.
Well, I don't even know how to get. This is the way to the finish.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But there's something in you, you know, like you had. I was talking to Dawn yesterday because she is saying the same thing. She's doing the worst of both worlds this year, the duathlon, and she was sharing with us her why. The motivation, why she's doing it. And she forewarned us, if I'm not going to make the cutoff, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue through.
yep.
But I really think that part of that determination, short of, let's say, an injury or some catastrophic bike failure that's, you know, unfixable.
Right.
I do believe she'll finish. It's tied to a very deeply understood why. And I shared yesterday in her podcast that I don't think that that's the case for a lot of people. They'll sign up for something because they get tied up in it at the bar one night with their buddy, or they're just trying to jump on the train of what everybody else is doing, but they don't actually have a clear reason
Right.
for why they're doing it for themselves personally.
Right.
I think you did.
I did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
For this because it really helped me out. That last loop, there was nothing enjoyable about it.
Yeah.
Not a single second of it was enjoyable until I came out in the pavement. And
I love to hear that, by the way. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
You're only encouraging us.
No, and I don't mind it because there's no shake up, there's no growth, there's no if that is not happening, right?
Right.
So I welcome that.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate
but
that.
I want to go out there and have fun too. Don't get me wrong, right? You
Yeah.
want to have a good time.
Well, I'm sure up to a point you're having fun.
Yeah, yeah. And,
You know?
and you know, and after you're done, was the overall thing worth it? Fuck yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. So
I think that whole idea around misery loves company, you know, that part of the marketing piece to the event.
right.
I honestly think it's true. I think sometimes if you can just learn to embrace the ridiculous nature of life
Right.
and how fucked up stuff gets sometimes,
Right.
that really helps bring some levity to what would otherwise be really bad situations.
Right.
And you just got to be able to laugh at it or yourself.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous, but these situations just it turns down the noise of everyday life, right?
Yeah.
And you're out there with people that you don't know,
Yep.
people that you might not get along with, politically completely different, and here we are doing the same thing,
Yep.
and
And you're in it together.
best friends.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's amazing. I've said it before, how quickly this stuff that we think matters in our day-to-day lives
goes
like
away.
politics and shit.
Yeah.
That shit don't matter. Jack shit.
Right.
On the trail.
Right.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Nope.
Because it's you and me. We're against Danny. We're against Todd. We're against this fucking climb. Let's go together. Yeah. It has a really unique way of simplifying shit
It does.
and telling you what matters.
Yes.
It's fucking awesome.
I can't wait to do it again. Next on my agenda, if you will, and maybe a year out, I want to do the Tour Divide on this thing. And I've been thinking about it, been examining it, but then Paul, right? And then I listened to that, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
He's going back.
Yeah, I know. So I think that would be awesome to do.
We're gonna bring him in after he does it.
Okay.
After he's done.
So I can't wait to listen because I think it'll take a little bit more preparation, right?
Yeah.
Even just getting there and time off work and all that. And it will take me a long freaking time to do it, but I don't care, right? We'll call it a sabbatical.
Yeah. Even more reason that Morrow needs to get you a frame bag.
I would have to carry a lot more stuff.
Oh man, his ass is gonna look like Chuck's with that backpack full.
You need to put a rear rack on that thing.
Yeah, you need something.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Talk to Brian. He could probably fab out a rack.
Yeah.
That's who you should talk to. You got to get ready for this thing. Let's go.
All right.
Can you bring up the Crusher map. We're going to talk Crusher.
All right, let's do it.
So we're going to preview the preview of a route, and we're going to talk through it. So this will be like a little teaser for everybody.
That could be fake.
And this might not even be real.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
But for conversation's sake, we're going to throw this up. He gets it up there. Yeah. Okay. Can you zoom in a little bit? Actually, zoom in right up to Copper Harbor. Yeah, move it over, center it, zoom in a little bit more. We'll try to get like right down to the start. Okay, so first off,
Yep.
we have been running the Crusher down, out of Outer Lake Resort.
Yeah.
Outer Lake Campground.
Near Munising, right?
Yep, down near Munising. We've done it. I think we ran it down there 3 years. It was great. That's where we decided to run it when we came back out of COVID and we were able to go back to mass start events. And the thing to keep in mind, just to preface, is that, as Crushers developed through the years and came through COVID, this terminology of EX had never existed until COVID. And EX is basically saying this Crusher event is a solo adventure. You are on your own. You can take a friend.
And that's how come I did it, is because the EX provided something without a cutoff, if you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
It allowed that possibility, and that's how come I signed up for it. If it wasn't for COVID, it would never happened.
Right. When did you do it in 2020?
Yes.
Okay, so your first Crusher EX was 2020.
Yep, 100. Yep.
Yep.
100.
1,000 people did it that year. So it really, it became a thing because it was the only thing that year. But then I think some people did it that then realized like, wow, this is actually really cool.
It's of all your events, in my opinion, that's my favorite.
Yeah. I have heard that from other people.
That I have done, right?
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I've said it before, and I'll echo what you just said. From our events, the EX Crusher is my favorite. It just fits my personality.
Right.
Other people would like the mass start events. Nothing wrong with that either. So as we came out of COVID, we're running Crusher when a lot of other events couldn't run,
right?
Because you couldn't gather. And then we started moving more toward the point where, okay, now you can gather again and events can go, mass start events can start to happen. Well, we were in a unique spot now because the event for 2 years had become an EX only option.
Right.
And then it's like, well, how are we going to manage this? Because EX is has a very clear personality. It's ugly. It's an ants. It's tough. It's in that Huron Mountain area.
It is tough.
It's not flat.
No.
It's just tough, man. But we wanted it that way. And that was actually part of the idea was, listen, we as a community are trying to get through a pandemic together. So the event that we're going to do to get us ready to do that needs to mimic how hard life is right now. So that was like the whole idea behind, the EX routes. And that was successful. But then as we come back to mass start, not everybody wants to do the EX format. And you kind of need, these EX courses are so hard, you kind of need a gateway to get to them. Not all people are going to sign up for EX and go out there alone with a satellite beacon on them.
Right.
Right. So then we were looking at, well, how do we do that? How do you bridge that gap? And we ended up settling on the Munising area because it had Hiawatha National Forest.
Right.
It's an area we have never been in before. We could bring it far enough west toward the Deerton area, or west toward, into Marquette County.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we'd ridden over the years, and we're like, we can probably tie this stuff in the Crusher. So that's what we did. The mass start Crusher it's still hard. There's still checkpoints, but it is more of a entry-level Crusher. It's still way different from a normal gravel event.
Right.
So that's important for somebody to understand. Like if you think you signed up to do a gravel event that is a traditional gravel event, you are wrong. That is not what you signed up to do. So if you have not been on the website and if you're not in the Crusher Facebook group, you better get on both.
Right.
And
it's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must.
Because that group can actually really help you prepare.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
You know, everybody in those groups or in the group for Crusher, they have relevant experience.
Yep.
And they can help parse out what the difference is between MS and EX. I mean, they both happen in different geographic areas within the UP.
Right.
So that brings us to what is the geographic area for the Crusher this year, the mass start. That is, where are we going, Kiko?
Yes. We're going to do it in the Keweenaw. So
We're doing it in the Keweenaw. Start and finish in Copper Harbor,
Yep.
Michigan. So what we're looking at right now, can you zoom that a little bit, Mark? Yeah, there you go. That's good. That's good. In a little bit. A little bit more. A little bit more. There, good. So, again, none of this is final. We're still working through all the permitting.
Yep.
But you and I did meet with Copper Harbor Trails Club Monday.
Yes.
We've provided this to them. And we believe from a Copper Harbor Trails perspective, we're in pretty good shape.
I did, after we met, I did contact Adam.
Yep.
And ran this by him.
Yep.
Goes, yep, that's what we discussed. Looks good.
Yeah, that's perfect. Those guys are great. They're looking forward, based on what we talked about, they're looking forward to having the event up there.
Yes. It's good for them, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So talk us through, Kiko, take us through the start, what we're going up, I guess, until we get over by town.
So I guess everything is going to start at Trails End.
Yes.
At the campground.
It is.
And it'll finish there.
Yep.
So the idea is to put folks on M26 right there.
Yep.
Lots of people, right? How many people you got signed up for each event?
You know, so we'll send out the long race at 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
There's like 130 people doing that.
Yep.
The 100-mile event will go out at 6 a.m. There's, 190 in that one. And then the 40 is going to go out at 7 a.m., which is an hour earlier than we've done in the past.
Yep.
And we've got a little over 100 doing that one.
So, there's over 100 people. So for each thing. So the idea is to allow people to thin out a little bit.
Yes.
Thin them out on the highway.
Yeah.
And then let them really thin out.
Yes.
When they make that right turn and going up the
Remember the climb?
East side of Brockway.
I think I know all of this.
Yeah. 2021.
Yeah.
Driving up in the pickup, blaring Metallica, Seek and Destroy.
Well, they might need that Metallica blaring out again because that climb is absolutely, it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
So they go up Brockway on the east side all the way to Raptor Ridge.
Yep.
Make a left there going south, and then Raptor Ridge to Whoop-de-Woo West.
Yep. Now, can I qualify something?
Yep.
So, somebody who's doing Crusher, because we're also going to promote this through the Crusher Facebook group.
Yep.
I'll probably send a link of this podcast to everybody who's doing the Crusher.
Yep.
Because we want them to get this content.
Yep.
So what you need to understand, people, is right out of the gate here, when you go into Raptor Ridge, that is a single track.
You are going up Brockway on a paved road.
Yes.
Very wide paved road.
Yep.
Nice and beautiful.
Nice and steep.
And then you make a left turn into a single track.
Yep. Mountain bike trail.
Mountain bike trail.
Yep. And they're taking that, what are they hitting? Whoop-de-Woo and Garden Brook?
Whoop-de-Woo West and Garden Brook, which will bring them into town.
Yes.
And you can see it over there. Yep. Right there. You go to town, right at the edge of town, right? Parallel 41 for a little bit.
Yep.
Up Manganese Road.
Yep.
And then
We're going to go up Point Trail.
you go into phase one,
Yep.
Point Trail phase one, which is gorgeous, right? Fanny Hole right there.
And
then
Highlands?
What's that?
Through the Highlands, it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, the first-
before that, though.
It's summer school, I think it is. So you're gonna get back to Mandan Road on phase one. I think the other one is summer school in All Eyes. I think
Okay.
they're a little bit newer trails. And the way it's drawn there, you're gonna take an East Bluff driveway.
Right.
Shout out to Lee.
We got to talk to Aaron about that.
Right.
Yes.
Make sure it's okay.
Yes.
Since
And we're-
this is just a concept, right?
Yep. This is a concept. Might be fake.
Might be fake. I will. There are already changes to this.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you take the East Bluff driveway, and then I think it's Weathertop and Magic Carpet
Magic carpet coming down. Yep.
right? And you get on the trail again, and then you go up Highlands.
Yes.
And then you get
phenomenal views on both East Bluff.
both of them. And we'll look at the elevation profile, and I'll point out those two spots on there.
Yeah. But amidst the suffering, there will be beauty.
Otherwise, it's right. Yeah. We're trying to help you out.
Yes.
It's worth the climb.
It truly is.
Yes.
The Highlands has become one of my favorite stops when we're up there.
Most people in the Keweenaw have no idea about this view.
That's crazy.
Unless you ride a bike,
That's crazy.
you're not gonna get up there.
I took Stacy up there actually last summer. We hiked up it.
Yep.
Just so I could show it to her.
Yeah.
She thought
It's
it was
worth it.
phenomenal.
It's
And it's not a bad hike.
no, it's not. It's not. Because you can drive all the way to the bottom and just go up to the.
That's
that
what we
point
did.
and then come down.
Yeah, we parked, went up, came down, we did the loop, we were done.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yep. So you do Highlands, and then you hop on phase 2.
Yes.
Which is also a beautiful trail. Not very hard. That is going
That's
to.
not technical.
No, no. It's gorgeous. It'll take you all the way to the water.
Yep. To the rocket range?
Yes. Yep. We used to be, people don't know the historical.
Yeah, what,
side of
real quick, give a quick rundown, the historical significance of the rocket range.
They made a range that used to shoot rockets out there.
They were launching rockets essentially into the lake, right?
Yeah.
NASA.
Yeah, there's a plaque there, a stone, like a tombstone.
Yep.
There has NASA engraved.
I've seen some of the pictures from what year range was it? 40s, 50s?
I think Cold War type stuff.
Yeah.
I think 50s.
Yeah,
after
some of
World
the
War
pictures
II.
are wild if you look it up online.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to provide, give it to you guys, whatever I can information wise, so it's out there. Because I think by helping out, here's a chance to involve as much Keweenaw history as we can.
Absolutely.
To make this fun. So it's not just a checkpoint; it's going to be a historical checkpoint, right?
Absolutely.
And
I'd say the majority of the checkpoints that we're working on have
they have a
significant
story to them.
historical relevance
Yep.
to the area.
Yep.
Yes. So we're out at the rocket range.
Yep. So High Rock Bay over there, and then you take the road for a little bit, and then Schlater Lake right there.
Adam said that that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I've ridden. I rode it last year,
Yeah, I didn't. I thought I had ridden out that part, but I did not. I did not see that last year.
and then from there you make a right turn. Still, and that then you're on phase 3, and you make that turn to go all the way down to Keystone Bay. And then from there you basically are gonna get on a road called the Mandan Road.
Yep.
That basically connects Copper Harbor really all the way to US 41.
Yep.
Farther west.
Okay. Let's go west.
Yeah, let's go west. So there's the Horror Lake Loop right there.
Yep.
That dip that goes down, and then you stay on Mandan, South Mandan, and then keep going up. And then right there where you see Clark Mine, you take that to that intersection right there. You can see the roads. There's the Powder House climb right there. There is a really Keweenaw-esque climb that happens right there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I would say it's really fun.
With a capital FU.
Yeah.
Good.
And then you go by Esteban Pine.
Yeah, that's cool.
Maybe we'll make that a checkpoint. I don't know what you guys think. but
Yeah,
there's-
we talked about that. I think that's a good idea.
It has some trees there. They're 400 years old.
Yeah.
White pines, which is unbelievable.
Yep.
And
We took the boys through there a few years ago. Probably 5-6 years ago. That's a cool hike. I mean, they're not going to have time for a hike.
no, they get to go to the parking lot.
Right. You get to see the parking lot.
Yep. But you get to see the forest. Anyways, you come down Iatna Mine Road, and you cross the Montreal River right there.
Yeah.
And there's a surprise waiting for you there. Or maybe there isn't something waiting for you there.
Yes, there is something waiting for you there.
Keep going on Mandan, and then at some point right there where you see Keweenaw Heartlands Reserve, you're gonna get off the Mandan and go close to Mount Bohemia.
Yep.
cross Gay Lac LaBelle Road.
Yep.
And then you kind of get I think it's called Plank Road / Solar Road, and cross right there on the asphalt, the blacktop, and you're going to go all the way down to Betsy on Lake Superior. And then you're going to get on Iron Gate Road.
Yep.
And go up, up, up. At some point, you make a right to the Conservancy Road, get back on Solar Road, and then make yourself back on Trail 3.
Yeah,
right
Trail
there.
3 and head west.
Yep, do that dip over there.
Hey, real quick, go back there, Mark, to the right for a sec, to the east. Where is Phoenix? Go back up by 41.
Phoenix is still farther to the west.
Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, you can slide it.
So you get on Trail 3, you do this lip right there where it says number 7 road.
Yeah.
The trail goes straight right there, but it's really wet. And I don't know if there's permission to go there. I think the reason there's that dip there is because of conditions.
Yeah.
Get back on Trail 3 again, the railroad bed, right? And you're riding on the trail. There's Phoenix right there.
Yeah.
Right where the hand is. There's Phoenix. Yep.
Yeah.
So you'll come close to it.
So theoretically, if somebody needed to hop off, isn't there a store there?
Yes, Phoenix store. Yeah.
Yeah. So there would be a store probably at that time of the day open.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what their hours are.
Limited inventory.
Oh.
I've been in there for resupply. It's limited. Well, we stopped there in 21.
Yeah.
So then you go all the way to Mohawk.
Yep.
Mohawk will have the Superette there, which is a great pit stop if people need something right there.
Yeah.
And then this is part of the trail we kind of need to discuss because the trail kind of kisses each other going north and south.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want that or not. So
we can work through that.
Yeah, we're going to play with it because you can make them go through Mohawk, right?
Right. That actually would be fun.
Right. And then you Copper City, still on Trail 3.
Yeah.
Kearsarge. And then you get off Trail 3 near Calumet Lorium right there, and then you make yourself down to Lake Linden. I'm not sure on the trail number there. And then from Lake Linden, basically, almost to Dollar Bay is a brand new trail because things got washed out during the Father's Day.
In the Father's Day.
So it's a nice trail. There's that little dip, a little jot, if you will, right there that looks like a finger. Yeah. And that goes up and down because why not bring people close to Calumet
Exactly.
and then bring them back down?
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
We just want to make sure to provide them with a downhill.
Yes. Bonus climb. It's free of charge.
Free of charge. Then Quincy Mill, maybe that could be a checkpoint over there. There's the dredge there. There's some historical stuff.
Yep.
You cross M26 soon after that, Dollar Bay, and then Ripley and Hancock. I think we're routing them by the Circle K gas station, right?
Yeah. So they'll have a resupply option there.
Yes. Take that to heart.
Yeah.
Depending what time you're crossing, the gas station is open.
Oh, for sure.
Late. So just pay attention and do your math accordingly. And then you're taking, I think it's Trail 3 again, from Hancock pretty much all the way to Calumet. We'll have them veer off in a couple spots.
Yeah, we've used that before too.
It's a huge climb, but it's railroad grade, right? So you don't notice a whole lot.
Yeah, it's like the climb from Marquette to Nagani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's steep, but it's spread out during the whole ride.
Typically, when we've used that, we're going the other way, toward Houghton, when we've done the point-to-point crushers in the past.
Yep.
Because I think we were on that 19 and 21.
We'll have them do a jot, Seoul over there. Still in Calumet. Let's go back there.
Yeah, down to Calumet. And one thing I'll add here, too, because you and I have talked about this. We haven't really made a decision on it. So I think the route, as it's drawn right now, is about 197.
It is, yeah.
And we're going to call it 10,500 feet of elevation gain.
Yep.
We haven't decided if we're going to sprinkle in some churning rapids in Sweetown, which before we did that, we would talk to the trail orgs.
Yes.
Or the people that are handling the trails.
Take their suggestion on which trails you should use. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a possibility.
Yep.
Because, this probably should be over 200.
I think people are expecting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So mental note, you're probably getting over 200.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
So you do a little jot right there on Main Street, south of there a little bit, near Delorium Ward. There's a jot there. Then you go around Calumet Lake. You go by the Italian Hall. That's another checkpoint.
Yep.
That's a pretty.
That'll be a checkpoint.
Please be respectful of that checkpoint.
Yep.
You go up the dirt road.
Well, hey, let's back up for a sec. Talk about that. Talk about that checkpoint and the significance of it. This is what I love. This is what I love about the events that we do in trying to connect them to our history and heritage, because you can help remind people of, who we've been, where we've been.
The people before us.
The people before us, exactly. So talk about what went down there.
So at that square jot there where it says Michigan House, we're making you guys go by the corner of Elm and 7th over there. You guys go to the Italian Hall, which many, many years ago, 1913, Christmas Eve, there was a Christmas party going on the upstairs of this hall, and someone yelled fire. And people came down the staircase. Doors didn't open. There's a lot of theories why they didn't open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into that. You can look it up.
Yep.
But over 70 people, mostly children, died stampeded at the bottom of that staircase.
Yeah, we went to the memorial on Monday, and they've got the names
and ages
of everybody who passed. And when you see it, you can hear somebody say that 70 people passed, and a lot of them were kids. But when you look at the names and the ages, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, miners were on strike at that time. It was a really volatile time in the Keweenaw. And even Woody Guthrie wrote a song about it, 1913 Massacre. Look it up. It is really haunting. That pretty much tells the story right there. There's a sign there. Make sure to read both sides. That tells you the story. And then make sure to look at the big, I guess call it a tombstone of sorts, right? That has everyone's names and ages there. So
yeah, for sure.
Really significant pit stop in Calumet. After that, you leave Calumet on Trail 3, go around Calumet Lake, and then you make your way to basically near Bumbletown and Amique. Not anything too special, but it's on dirt, gravel road, right?
Pretty uneventful.
Yeah, give a little more space to breathe there.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have you take Cliff Drive all the way to the Cliff Mine site.
Yeah.
And this is another special checkpoint. I think we should make it a checkpoint that takes you one of the oldest, the first, I think, profitable mine in the Keweenaw.
Really?
And one of the oldest ones. Yeah, you're talking 1800s here. And I think that it's an awesome place. And that is the definition of Keweenaw gravel, is doing this loop up there.
I would agree with that. We've been up there together.
And
there's a great overlook up there. I don't know that they'll see it. Well, plus by the time people get here, it's probably going to be dark.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. By the time they get there, please take note that when you go through Calumet, you got to make sure you're ready to finish all the way to Copper Harbor, because there will be nothing.
Yeah.
You cannot. You if there's issue, you're gonna have to knock on someone's door.
Yeah. I'd add, if you don't have any sort of support crew, or if you don't have a plan for neutral support before you leave Calumet, you have to be sure that you've got your shit together.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to see anything until you get to Copper Harbor.
And I'm talking like before 11 p.m. on Calumet. So.
What's the mileage at Calumet? So the file's 197. I forgot to look at that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe with the elevation map, we'll be able to tell.
Okay.
When we get to Calumet.
Keep talking about it. I'll actually look that up.
So you do the loop by the Cliff Mine. Maybe we'll put you on 41 to give you a little break. You can stop at the Cliff View for a beer and a shot if you'd like. Then at Phoenix, make a left turn and take you all the way to Rigger River. Nice dirt descent. Maybe you do a loop around Eagle River because there's 3 historical bridges there. There's the historical courthouse. We can let you use the porta potty, the bathrooms by the beach. Maybe you want to go in for an old-fashioned at Fitzgerald's or maybe some pulled pork.
Oh, great whiskey selection at the Fitz.
Very good.
There's the elevation profile.
This is Calumet right there.
Okay, right there.
So I don't know what the mileage is.
All right, so that's at 140.
There you go.
So you still got 50 to the finish.
Yep.
Okay. Or more.
Or more. And then from Eagle River, we're going to have you go up a road. When you came to visit on Monday, we drove up that road.
Yeah.
And hopefully they graded before you guys come, right?
Yeah, we might put in a special request to have them graded the day before.
So in case you fall off your bike, it won't hurt. So we're watching out for you.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool through there. There's a nice climb.
Yes, there's a very nice
sustained climb.
Yes, yeah. Be prepared for that. Then you put you in a little bit of pavement, cross through Central. Central, I think there is a great checkpoint there. I think the Central the church.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Built in I think in 1869.
Yep.
It's gorgeous. And then from Central, you're gonna kind of make your way down all the way to Eagle Harbor.
Yeah.
Yep. And then from Eagle Harbor, there's the lighthouse there. That could be a checkpoint. There's a little museum there. There's some markers, historical markers there. So maybe a checkpoint could happen there.
That's a great town.
It is. It's a awesome town.
I mean, if you're doing this 175, you probably won't be able to see it because it'll be in the dark. But it's cool.
It is cool.
You know, driving in there, like when I drive into Eagle Harbor from Copper Harbor, I like that view and how it opens up to the bay.
Yeah.
You know, in Eagle Harbor, and it's laid out really cool.
A great beach there during the summer.
Yeah.
If you got a hot day, that's a great
good place for support crews to hang out for the 100 milers.
It is. It is. Got a park there.
Yeah.
I know Kelly Probst, which has been helping out with this. She's the race director at Copper Dog and does all the permitting. Her husband, Rich, is the township supervisor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we should talk to them about making this a win-win here.
Yeah.
So we don't scare the living crap out of people. When, you know, 300 bikers, you know, like, are we taking over? Did these guys parachute down here? Or something, you know?
Exactly.
But then from Eagle Harbor, pavement for a little bit, then a jog, and then a climb all the way up towards Delaware.
Right.
Cross the road, back on 303.
Yep.
And then get off 303 and head towards the western climb.
Western end of Brockway.
Yeah, make a right there, and it's all paved. Great paved road.
Easy.
Super easy.
Probably doing this at night or in the morning.
You might wish you were in a gravel road. But it's paved. And then you do a little loop at Brockway. That could be a checkpoint because the view there will be gorgeous. Even at night. You
Well,
just won't be able to see it.
If it's a clear night.
Maybe, right?
Think of it. Think of the stars.
I wonder what the moon will be at that time of the year when
that's a good question.
Schedule, because
We'll have to look that up.
Yeah, that could be.
Can you look that up? Can you check out the moon phase?
Because if the moon is reflecting on that lake, wow.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
What's the date on that again?
If it's a bright night, Lord, it'd be amazing.
July 19th. What's the moon doing on July 19th?
And then you go past the highest point in the Keweenaw, which is the lookout there.
Yep.
And then you're going to make yourself back to Raptor Ridge and make another left and go north on it. Then Raptor Ridge, you connect with the flow.
Yep.
Go all the way down to M26, cross M26, and then take the little Hunters Point Trail.
And done.
And to the campground, and you're done.
And easy.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, no problem. Fun.
It's doable on a BMX bike.
You gonna do it?
Yes, I'm looking forward to do it. Maybe not then, but maybe go Calumet to Copper Harbor and back, and then break it out in 2 days.
Yeah.
You have a waning crescent, so about a third, maybe a fuzz more than a third moon.
Yeah, that'll be pretty.
If it's a clear night, it'll be good enough.
Yeah.
So
it's a great view up there.
It's amazing. Amazing.
So, all right, that's the 175, and then we were saying, the 100 would cut across around Lake Linden.
No, I think that the 100 is gonna do that dip right there, right, to Betsy.
Yeah.
And then you're Delaware, and then from Delaware, we're gonna take it to Eagle Harbor.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yes.
then you come
yeah.
back.
Yes. That makes more sense.
Right there. So when it does that dip, there's somewhere there we cross to Eagle Harbor, and then you go all the way back, and that's over 100.
Yeah.
And then
that makes more sense because when we were talking about it on the way over here, I was running that math in my head where I was thinking it was coming back. I'm like, that doesn't seem like enough miles.
And then
But that makes sense.
The 40, basically where it says Keweenaw Heartlands Preserve there, you're just gonna cut across right there. Yep, right there.
Yeah.
For the 40.
So in the 40, let's talk a little bit about that because the front end of this, so the front, we'll call it 25 miles.
Yeah, that's a underestimate.
We'll call it 25.
Okay.
But it is fairly trail heavy.
It is.
For the 175
After you
and 100.
get off Brockway there, you're talking pretty much single track.
Yeah.
That is the 175 and the 100, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you want to get folks back on the road for the 40 or not.
So I think for the 40, yeah, and I'm putting this in, qualifying it for anybody who's doing the 40 because there's a little over 100 people doing it.
Yep.
We will ebb and flow from trail to road.
Mandan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it won't be as strict trail as the other two.
And what Todd means by that is that you'll be able to ride side by side on some sandy stuff.
Right.
You can have a conversation about it as opposed to being one ahead of the other.
Exactly. You can actually talk with your partner about how much you wish you were back in the single track.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the 40 will be a little bit different, I guess, is just what I'm throwing out.
Yep.
But, that I think that 40 is going to be super cool.
It would be a great day on a bike.
Yeah. It's remote when you get out there toward the point.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Yes.
great views.
Yes.
Probably from a mass start perspective, the hardest mass start 40
Okay.
that we've done. If I think back to 19, when we were doing it out of Forestville, 20, it didn't happen. 21, it didn't happen. And then 22, 23, 24 were Munising. This will definitely be the most challenging 40-mile mass start event we've put out.
With that being said, though, it is 100% doable. There's nothing,
for sure.
It's a fun day on a bike. You can take
You got 24 hours to do it.
10-year-old with you, right? 80-year-old, whatever it is, and they can do it. Would it be hard? Of course. There's a lot of climbing, but there's nothing inherently dangerous.
No.
And it'll be gorgeous. You get to go by the lake on 2 different spots.
Yep. A lot of history.
Yeah.
The only spot I can think of that comes to mind that's a little hairy in air quotes would be that spot on the Highlands Trail. When you're going up, there's a spot or two.
You got to be careful when you're up there so you don't kill yourself, really.
You got to pay attention.
Yes, you do.
I mean, as long as you're paying attention, it's not like you're literally on a cliff face, but if you're not paying attention, you're close enough to it.
You don't want to screw around up there with having bikes all next to each other.
No.
People getting on and off. You want to basically make it past that point.
Yes. Get up to the top.
Get off your bike and then go check
look
out
back.
the view.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not 100% confident riding it, walk it.
Yeah, that's fine. You just got to pay attention. That's it. There's nothing.
So, bike choice.
BMX.
BMX.
Yeah. My only comment to all this, because it's doable in whatever bike you decide to do it with, right?
I agree with that.
If I had to change one thing on any bike, it would be tire cross-section diameter.
Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about that. What do you mean?
Don't choose a 1.3, choose a 3.1, right?
Yeah.
That would be...
So a tire with more volume.
Yeah.
But by default, that eliminates some bikes. Some gravel bikes.
Yes, right? You can only get so big.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I this is probably closer to a mountain bike ride.
It's definitely more mountain orientated.
Yeah.
It's rugged.
Yes.
It's burly.
You're going to come across some rocks on this.
Not some. Lots.
There
You were riding on a rock.
There will be sections of the trail where they put a bunch of pour rock on there. I don't know if you guys know what a pour rock is. Keweenaw is full of pour rock piles, which is all the mineral pour rock that came from inside the mines. And these things are not round. It's not glacial.
Chunky.
They're chunky and sharp.
Yep.
And they're used everywhere. If someplace has erosion or it's wet, they put that stuff down. Because most things traveling over there have car tires on them or ATV tires on them, not gravel bike tires on them.
So, Mark, I'm curious, if you were headed up for Crusher Master to ride it this year, if you were doing the 175, what bike from your stable of bikes would you take?
I would take my Fargo.
Yeah.
3-inch tires or a full suspension mountain bike. But probably my Fargo because it's the most capable bike that has carrying capacity.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I will make a comment. I do not think that full suspension or even front suspension is necessary for this ride.
Yeah.
At all. I don't think there's anything there that you're going to try to, eat up. To be able to go fast over there. I don't think that's necessary, but the tire choice, I think, will make a huge difference.
I've ridden all of Copper Harbor on a no suspension drop bar mountain bike, and very comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, gearing might be a little bit off in some places, but that would probably be my choice. A fat bike with 4-inch tires.
Be a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, you get a little bit of suspension there with the tires. So, I think the racier types will probably go with a cross-country full suspension.
Yeah, between a full suspension bike, you err towards more of a cross-country race bike, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I'd go with anything less than a 2-inch tire, but I wouldn't be racing it either.
Somebody will try.
Somebody will.
Somebody will try.
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could go really well.
Yeah.
And it could go really not well.
You can go really fast on smaller tires, right? Faster. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think the Fargo would be a good one.
Yeah.
I'd have no reservations with taking my bike up there. It's basically a mountain bike with drop bars. A lot of carry capacity. I mean, we've ridden... The Fargo is what you rode during Adventurous, right? Yeah. So we've ridden the UP on that stuff. There's no front suspension. There's no rear suspension.
Right.
I think a lot of times that comes down to, I don't know, maybe just the bike that a person's accustomed to being on.
The biggest, I guess, another piece of advice, do not try to reinvent the wheel here and come up with something that's special for the Keweenaw. Ride what you're comfortable with.
I'd agree with that.
That's number one. If it's got skinny tires, put bigger tires on it, but ride what you're comfortable with. That's the biggest thing. You want to be comfortable out there because it's a long day.
It is.
So
25 hours.
Yeah.
Ish. Well, no, actually I think the cutoff for everybody's 24 for this one. 25 is Marji. It's beautiful though. It's fantastic up there.
It is.
And we haven't been in the Keweenaw since 2021. We've never hosted the entire event up there.
Right.
So the majority of people have never seen it because, the event that did go up there left there. That was the point-to-point.
Right. I think it'll showcase what the Keweenaw has to offer.
Yeah. As
far as 2-track, roads, mountain bike trails, conveniences, right?
Yeah.
Historical sites. There's towns everywhere because of the mining there. So you're going to be out in the bush and then suddenly you come in a community.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome.
It's really, it's cool because the Crusher's been able to highlight and feature different areas within the Upper Peninsula.
Right.
And each area of the Upper Peninsula, at least from a topographic standpoint, the character is very unique. We noticed that when we rode around the UP. It's that west, the north and the west tip, very rugged.
Right.
Lots of elevation change, lots of rock, very rough. And then as you work your way kind of down along that southeast border of the UP, and you're working like toward Iron River or Crystal Falls, Iron Mountain, it changes.
Yep.
You go through Ottawa, a lot of national forest, very lonely out there. Marinesco's super lonely. You go past that. Do you remember going past that
Prison?
the prison that was shut down? I remember years ago delivering food there in the 90s when it was open, and now it's just a ghost town. But really cool. The eastern end of the UP, just flat and sand.
Sand century after sand century.
Sand for days. How many? Was it like 4 or 5 days, 100 miles a day.
Of sand.
When we're talking about sand, we're not.
It was beachy.
It was a beach sand.
That sucks.
It was crazy.
Big watts, no speed.
I mean, you're putting out 400 watts moving 2 miles an hour. And that is not an exaggeration.
No, I that's something I don't like, the sand.
I can't even.
I don't like it.
The BMX, you'd just be strapping that bitch on your back and walking.
I mean, when you come out of, is that Mosquito Gulch, right? You come out in the open there.
Yeah. On the Mulligan Plains.
It's sandy.
That gets sandy.
Yeah.
And then you'd go connect over to Red Road.
It's you just come to terms with it, and it's like, well, I needed to walk anyways, right? That's what you tell yourself.
Yeah. Do you remember, I think it was when we did the 2020 EX, the Recon ride in May.
Mm-hmm.
When we got on Red Road, it had been graded. Am I correct on this? But we were able to catch the edge.
Yep.
The edge was still fast and firm.
Right.
Yeah, it was like good groomed snow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of the road was a fucking disaster. Soft. But that edge was there, and you just grab that and just take her all the way to 510. It was awesome.
Good.
Yeah, it was awesome. So when you heard that, we have our reasons why we think the Crusher's cool and our whole opinion on it, but you reached out to us as soon as you heard it was coming up there.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, this is a great thing. You immediately were getting involved, and how can I help? And I don't even know how much time you've put into sending me
lots,
different Word docs, slide decks. It's been unbelievable. You've put a lot of time into it. Why? I mean, from your perspective, why do you think it's such a cool thing for the Keweenaw?
So I am involved with Copper Dog.
Yep.
Right. I have been the chief timer for the race. Since the second year. I helped out with timing the first year, and then became the chief timer starting with the second year. Became part of the board. I'm an assistant race director for it. And I believe that Copper Dog belongs in the Keweenaw in the same way that the UP 200 belongs in Marquette. Mm-hmm. The Keweenaw Country Sled Dog Race belongs in Newberry. It belongs in the UP.
Yep.
Right? Those three events.
Yep.
Dog sledding belongs here because of how much snow we get.
Yeah,
and you have those opportunities, and there's the historical connection, right?
Yep.
I think that the Crusher event is, damn it, patent, right? It's UP. It's a UP thing.
Yeah.
Right?
The enhanced gravel aspect of it. There's nothing like it anywhere.
Exactly. So when I heard you guys were coming back to the Keweenaw, right, including the Master, I'm like, I think I can help for the same reasons that I'm part of Copper Dog.
Yeah.
Meaning it is important to me that this is done right and explored in the right way.
Right.
And respect is given at the right places and involving the people that live there and came before us and the history and everything. And I just want to make sure that this showcases all that and is done the right way. So much like Copper Dog, we work really hard to do the right thing. We have an amazing race planning team and an awesome board. And we are always thinking ahead, trying to be progressive about it, right? And bringing people to spend money, providing entertainment at a time of the year can be kind of complicated, right?
Yep.
Winter time for some people.
Yep.
So it's amazing. And I think this really goes along with that.
Yeah.
So
I love it because obviously people are paying to do it, right? but we're a nonprofit. So really our event revenue comes back from all the events, and it's just reinvesting into providing continuously these experiences for people through the events, the adults, and then it's supporting the youth adventure team aspect, the 15 teams. And for me, it's like, especially with the way that we're continuing to evolve seemingly away from the outdoors,
Right.
this continues to put people, in my estimation, where we belong. I'm not saying we need to go back and be cavemen,
Right.
or cave women,
Right.
but I also think that it is dangerous to lose a connection to what we're part of. And, the further away from it we get, I think the further away we get from ourselves. And I don't think you really get that until you put yourself back out there and immerse yourself in it. And then you're like, oh, fuck yeah. This is where I'm meant to be.
Please don't take this the wrong way, but I have had some experiences in my life that are comparable. And those were the most important things in my life, right? When you look back. And part of my family history is that my dad's dad was born in 1896. And if you see where he was born, that's Crusher land right there. Except
Where was he born?
in northeastern Brazil. No water. It's desert, right? That kind of thing. Cactuses. It's a neat story. So a lot of these events kind of bring me back to that, or it ties back to that, right? To the hardships that people have had. And living in the United States is like a big 7-Eleven. And convenience is it, right?
Yeah.
Compared to the life that I grew up in Brazil. Not that I had a bad life. I was probably well better off there than I am here.
Yeah.
But this country is amazing, right? As far as the convenience goes.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get by without having these experiences if you choose to.
Or you can avoid the shit out of it.
You can avoid it, right? And this allows people to really get in touch.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there on an EX 225 and you're, Lord, you wouldn't believe what goes through your head.
It's interesting, the things that it makes you question.
Yeah.
Or the things that makes you think about
What's important. The forgiveness you go through, the hate you go through with people, with friends, with family, all that stuff you get. This is the best time to ever. And, and I did the EX 100 with 2 other people, my friend Paul, my friend Terry.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, but I'd rather do it alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The convenience, that word convenience, I have a love-hate relationship with it because convenience to a point I think is really good. It's a positive thing. It's what's helping people live longer and prosper. But it's almost like at a point it becomes an addiction to it. And now it's actually making you weaker, more vulnerable,
Right.
less appreciative.
Right.
The convenience, because when you go out and you do these really, really hard things and you get immersed in hardship, that word you use, it's unbelievable how the littlest thing, the smallest things that you take for granted on a daily basis, that all of a sudden when you get a fucking cookie from somebody, it's like the best thing you've had in your entire life.
I've traveled a lot. I've been to over 30 countries traveling. And I've taken a trip from South Range to Brazil by land with my now wife, Sarah. So I'm stuck with her because I'm not getting rid of her after she did that trip with me, right? Took us a few days short of 6 months to do it.
What was the trip?
From South Range, Michigan,
Yep.
all the way to Brazil by land.
By land.
By land.
What was the route? How'd you get there?
Buses, trains, cars. Never took anything across any border. Did it one country at a time.
How long did it take?
A little bit short of 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Why did you do it that way?
Because it was a dream of mine to do it. I always wanted to drive it. And then we started research. I asked her, so you want to do this? And she said yes. And I'm like, oh, shit, now I got to do it, right?
Now I got to do it.
And so we started researching it. And we found out, or at least we chose to do it by bus because of car issues, insurance, dealing with, right? Like, and it's a lot simpler to maybe, you know, it'll take longer. It's not as comfortable, but you get to experience more.
Yeah.
You know, buses alone were 146 of them.
You were on 146 different buses.
Yes. You know, and I got the numbers. I just got to look them up, you know, like 20 trains and 17 boats and 11 cars and even one bicycle, you know, that kind of, those kind of numbers. Buses were 146.
How many miles?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to look it up. Mexico, Belize, all the Central American countries. You get to Panama, there's no road that crosses into Colombia. So we took a sailboat. Crazy story. Lord have mercy. And then, you know, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil. So.
And how'd you get back?
We flew back. We stayed in Brazil for 6 months. I would love to do the trip again and go as fast as I can just to see.
Okay, so you went there. It took 6 months to get there?
Yeah.
And then you got there and you stayed there for 6 months?
Yeah. Well,
so you're gone a year?
Yeah.
Where were kids in this?
No kids.
Okay, no kids at this time.
I wasn't married at that time. She was just my girlfriend.
Oh, boy, that's a hell of a test for a relationship.
Well, that's why we're having a hard time right now, but we're gonna work this out because I'm not going through another trip like that to see if somebody.
That's
else
a hell of a vetting process, Kiko.
It is. But it was for her too, right? It was for her too. So, anyways, I don't even know where I was going with this, but I remember now. For tech, I went to Panama one time, and few times, 3 times, I think. The last time I went, the project we're involved with, it's kind of like a Peace Corps type program. I can't remember. We don't have it anymore. So we take these students out there, and I'm like a chaperone, right? Representative for Michigan Tech. They sent me out there because I speak some Spanish, and we got to go at the beginning of the Darien Gap. I don't know if you guys know about the Darien Gap. It's basically the road ends, and it's this swath of land, maybe 100 miles wide or something like that.
60 miles, I think, if I recall.
Okay, and that is on the border in Colombia and Panama. And people that have been trying to get to the U.S. or Canada, that's one of the paths they'll take. If they're coming from, let's say, Africa or the Middle East, they'll go to Brazil. As one of the places, right? And make their way up to the U.S., Mexico, right? And then they come to the U.S. border. So we got to go to one of the towns where people come in off a river by boat. And it is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen. All these people from countries all over the world. And it gets you thinking what people would do for a better life and how far they will come. So if anyone fucking complains that their coffee is cold, fuck you. Right? No, fuck you.
Yeah.
You got coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? After seeing that, it just puts you in a whole different mindset of what's hard, what's not hard.
Yeah.
And here we are taking a calculated gamble of a bike ride that will last 24 hours. Right?
Yeah. Well, you hit it on the head. I mean, we've got it so good.
Yeah.
But we've got it so good for so long, we don't know how good we got it anymore.
No, I take it for granted. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then the relationship with struggle and hardship and doing hard things. I mean, I hate to say it, but if you don't experience it at least semi-regularly, and now you have to do it voluntarily,
right? A
lot of times, unless something really tragic happens, an accident or a disease or something. But if you're not practicing it when it actually happens,
right.
That's why so many people can't respond in the face of hardship,
right?
Because it's a foreign object to them. They have no understanding of how to work through it
right
anymore. And I love being at the finish line. And it's not like everybody who does the events has this life-changing experience, right? We don't want to over promote that idea, but every year there's people who do those events. It does change their life, or it changes their view of themselves. And the person they wake up to after that event's over and they see in the mirror, that's a new person.
Right.
Because of what they did, what they've been through.
Right.
You know, I hear those stories. And that's why we're here.
To add to that is every event that I've done, and I've done 4 of them, they all been different. And they all provided something, right? Mm-hmm. You do it once, so I got what I needed out of that kind of event. You do a different one, it's something else is gonna come up because you think, no, I'm in a good mental space because I already did the other one, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna do this one.
Yep.
It doesn't work that way.
No, because they're all so different,
right?
You know, I mean, and that's another aspect of our events where it's not the same course every year.
Right.
It doesn't become predictable. You can't start to game it.
Right.
Because we redo it essentially every year.
And that's something that we are taking to heart at Copper Dog for next year. We already got a different race planned. We can't share right now. We're going to wait until September to share it.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're changing the route, or what do you mean?
We always change the route because it's based on snow conditions and things
that
like
makes
that.
sense.
But I think we're going to take a different approach into it that so it doesn't get boring. Right? Shake things up a little bit. And if we don't like it, we don't have to do it again.
Yeah, but
you're not stuck on that.
But I give you credit because you're going to try it.
Yeah, no, you don't know if it's right or wrong until you do it. So
yeah, and it's not even like, to me, it's not even right or wrong. It's just like you do it and then you assess what the result of it was, and you decide if you want to do it again or not.
Right.
Like it's the experience. You're subjecting yourself to experience it this way, and if it's good, cool.
Yeah,
do it again.
Yeah, we know we always compile the good and the bad after every race, and then this year we put a survey out there for mushers, and we got 75 responses. And
out of how many? How many mushers were there total?
Oh my gosh, you're talking, I don't know, hundreds and
hundreds. 75 still seems like a pretty decent number.
I think it is because
if you had 400 mushers,
right,
you're close to 25%. You're sub 25, but close.
Mushing is a weird sport because it for some people it's a hobby. They'll do it for a few years.
Yeah.
Or they can borrow somebody's team. You know, it's not like a bike race. It's just kind of an odd thing. Most of our mushers have only been to a race a few times. You know, we got some that come back every year. But if it goes through waves, people go through waves. You know, I'm into mushing now, right? Because it's very expensive.
Yeah. The sport itself, the animals, caring for them. Right. Yeah.
You got people out there with 70 dogs, but then you got people out there with 7 dogs.
Right.
So it varies quite a bit. So we got 54 comments out of these 75 responses.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And
that's actually pretty good.
So we're taking that to heart and can't wait for.
You going to throw some checkpoints in there?
We have checkpoints, but we can make them more exciting, right? Why not? Yeah.
You know, on the checkpoint thing for Crusher, I'm just sitting here thinking about this.
Because we do check their bags. They're required to carry some stuff with them. So we have a bag check.
Okay, so there's a required gear.
There's some required gear that they have to take out there, right?
So do they have to present the required gear before they leave?
Yes.
So you gear check before?
Yes.
And you gear check at the end?
Yes.
Okay, that's similar to the way Arrowhead does it, and we're doing the Ultra for Polar Roll.
You just don't want people to be out there caught unprepared, right?
Yeah.
That would never be the case, but I think it creates the mentality of don't go out there thinking something couldn't happen because it can happen.
I think with winter events, you really have to stick to that due diligence and requiring the gear.
Yeah.
You know, we have recommended gear for Crusher in part because we cannot personally guarantee that they're leaving with the correct recommended gear. Like for the EX, we don't even see them.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We used to do a gear check for it, and it's like, no, I mean, it's August or July, you know, it's July. I'm kind of the mind that, listen, I've told you what you need to have, and we've reiterated it ad nauseum for 6 to 8 months. If you get out there and you don't have it, that's on you. You're an adult.
When I did the EX100 with Paul and Terry, we had to start 3 fires because we were cold.
Yep. We talked about that. Who did we talk about that with? I don't remember, but that's come up. It's a real thing.
And like when we left AAA from the mine and you head towards the Yellow Dog River there.
Yep.
So we crossed there, got all wet, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not changing. So my friend Paul puts on clean socks and puts spare pants on, and we get a fire because we're cold.
Yep.
It just gotten dark. And we were all sweating and wet in 5 minutes from that as you start going up the gulch there, right?
The gulch, sure.
And then you go up and you crest down, and then we're freezing.
Yep.
Freezing because we just got all sweaty.
Yep.
And it's cold, and we had to start another fire, right? You know, that kind of thing. You think you're doing this in July or August.
Yeah.
It still gets cold.
So we've talked about this in the EX area at night. The forecast might say it's going to be 50 overnight.
Yep.
But it'll be 30. It'll be wrong by 20 degrees in the low-lying areas.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of people have gotten into a little bit of trouble, and they have to start fires.
Yeah, it'll be wrong by 20, but planned for 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. You sent me, when I was out there in the 225, you sent me a text, and I didn't notice this until the race was over, but frost warning. And I didn't see it was over. Maybe it's good I didn't see it. But, I slept 3 nights or 2.5 nights because the third night I couldn't sleep because it was raining, right?
Yep.
I was like, fuck this. It's just outside the mine. And it's cold. And that fucks with you. You're there to take a break and rest, right? And
there's no rest.
Working. There's no rest.
Yeah.
So
what's the temperature change like? What's your experience in the Keweenaw? So for the mass starters, I'm going to say pretty much the 100 and the 175. There's a probability that some 100-mile riders will end up there at night, not nearly as long as the 175, but the 175 folks are going to be out there.
Well, there's a big difference between being on the shore and being inland.
Sure.
And the way it's laid out right now, you're going to be doing both. Mm-hmm. And if the wind is blowing the quote-unquote wrong way off the lake, it gets cold. You're going to get cold in a hurry, especially if you're sweaty and that wind is blowing.
Yep.
Lord, that can really mess with you. As far as temperature swings, I don't think it's going to be that much. Mm-hmm. But if the conditions are right with the wind coming off that lake, you're gonna notice. I remember when I did Marji the first time, towards the end, you go by a lake. Mm-hmm. And I remember having to stop and put my coat on.
You're talking Cedar Lake?
I don't know. It was a lake to the left. You're going on the trail and the lake is on the left side. Not too far from the finish. But anyways, I just remember coming out there and just like, oh my gosh.
Do you have that elevation profile I sent you?
For
Crusher. I texted you the photo.
Oh.
We should put that up.
Yeah.
When you said sweaty, I immediately thought of it.
Well, you're going to be sweaty and cold.
There's no avoiding it.
And over and over.
Yeah. We'll take a look here at it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Blow that bad boy up. There you go. Expand it. Can you go full screen? Oh yeah. Look at that.
Up, down, up, down, up.
That
down.
is so beautiful.
I guess the elevation gains are not, a whole lot, maybe 700 feet or so, but it's kind of relentless. I think that's the word to describe it. So that first peak on the first one is
that East Bluff.
That is climbing up Brockway.
Oh, the first one, right?
The first.
What's
one.
the second one there?
Second one is on top of the East Bluff driveway.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The one right below it on the right That is Highland.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the next peak over that next blue one? No, right there.
That one.
What would that be?
Boy, is that? I think that might be
Is that going up?
close to Estevan Pines, maybe.
Oh, okay.
When you go up the powder house thing, I think that's the one there.
Wow.
And then I think maybe the next one up is coming back to 303, maybe.
Yeah.
So you go all the way to the lake, right?
Yeah.
And then you take Iron Gate Road
up.
Conservancy.
Yeah, that's what
up.
it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one there, the Hunchback one. Yep, right there. That's I think Calumet.
Yeah. That's what we had.
Somewhere there. I don't
Around
think it's
140.
the highest point is the little nub there. I think might be Calumet.
Uh-huh.
One of those is the Cliff Mine
Yep.
one. And
That's probably that one.
one of the other ones, you go all the way to Eagle River, you
Yeah.
go back up. You go all the way to Eagle Harbor,
Right.
you come back up.
Oh, right. That'd be Eagle River and then Eagle Harbor.
Yeah, I think you said Calumet at 140. Is that what you
Yep.
recall?
Yep.
Yeah, we should sell prints of these that people could hang on their wall at home.
It's pretty cute. And when I first printed this thing out, because I'm trying to get the elevation data out of the GPX because I'm using OnX.
Yeah.
And I can't get it. And then I eventually found a way to work. So
Yep.
via this, and it came out, and I'm gonna look at it. I'm like, no, that's not right. It's right.
That's right.
It's right.
That is lovely. That is lovely. What do you have lined up this year for events?
Finishing my house. That's the big one. I did talk to my kid about the doing the 40 up there.
We talked about that on Monday.
Yeah, and he shook on it. He said he would do it, but I'm kind of having second thoughts here. And what I mean by that is, I think it would be wonderful to help out with this event and volunteer, and I think that would be good for him. And then maybe we do the EX 40.
That'd be great because you'd have 3 options to pick from.
And if you're out there in the bush and I tell them, dude, we can't go back, we can't quit, you got to finish because there's no plan B here as opposed to the Keweenaw, right? Mm-hmm. So we get to a road and he knows where he's at and he's so hard-headed, he goes, I'm biking home.
Well, there's no doubt with the EX, there's no way out.
Exactly.
But to the finish.
So I said, maybe we volunteer for this because I would not see people come back and say, that was amazing. And I'll take that as a compliment. And I want to see people come back, that sucked. And I'll take that as a compliment, So it'll make me feel good. And I think it'd be cool for my kid to see that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of puts you in that mindset, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we'll set up like an aid station, maybe someplace between Calumet and Copper Harbor.
I think that is a good thing for kids to experience.
I think it is.
Those
because he's going to see people his age out there.
He is, yeah. That's the biggest thing is like you end up if you're a kid. Well, here I'll go back to the Crusher at Otter Lake. The first year we were there, the owners have a son named Jackson.
Yep.
And
you ended up giving him a bike, right?
We did.
Something? Yeah.
Yeah. So when we hosted the event there, they live out in the middle of the woods.
Right.
So, I mean, he's got a great situation growing up there. It's awesome. He didn't have a bike. This event rolls in, and he sits and he watches it for 3 days.
Right.
In his backyard.
Right.
And he sees all these kids, and he met Cable and a bunch of other kids, and he's, just like taking it all in. He told his mom after we left after that first event, he's like, I think I want to do Crusher next year. Well, then I ended up having that story. We put the story out through the Crusher group, and within like 15 minutes, a bunch of people from the Crusher Facebook group had donated like $1,500 to get Jackson a bike. And we got him a bike that fall, and then from there, he just started riding his bike all the time. Ended up coming. He became part of Adventure Team in Marquette. Parents brought him over every week on Thursdays to ride with the kids in Marquette. I don't think he ended up doing Crusher.
Don't recall.
Yeah, I don't think he did it. But, to your point, he saw kids.
Right.
doing this thing, and because he saw kids his age, he's like, I think I can do that too.
Right.
And then he did.
So I think we might volunteer for this.
Yeah.
And then we'll find a way to do the EX.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I do Miner's Revenge. I'll for sure do the Copper Harbor Trails, the long race there, and maybe do the EX40 with my kid.
Yeah.
I think they'll be good. And I want to do this.
Yeah.
Might take 2 days to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to bring as much crap with me, and I think it would be wonderful because I have ridden from Calumet to Copper Harbor and back to Calumet in 1 day on the trail. That was my training for the EX 225 or something like that. You know, I rode up there back and I think, you know, or the 100. It was training for the 100. And I'm like, I got this. I did it during the day. There was no comparison to the EX 100. So I don't know if that makes it sound like this Keweenaw loop is going to be easy, but that was just railroad bed and road all the way back, all the way there and back. There is no elevation gain. It's basically a straight line to Copper Harbor going down here and a straight line back.
Right.
What we showed over there is a different story.
Totally different animal.
Yes.
Lots of trail in the front end for the 175 and the 100.
Yes. Bring the correct bike because you don't want your race ruined right at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, like we said in the beginning, you could do it on any bike.
You could. You can.
But I've been saying this in the Facebook group, and I've shared this a couple different times, you know, through Facebook and my page. If there's ever been a year that you should be on a mountain bike-ish bike or even a fat bike, this is the year for the mass start.
Yep.
Because that will handle this course the most effectively and comfortably.
Yep.
No, if you want to show up with slicks on your gravel bike, by all means, give her hell.
When I do it, it's going to be on my BMX bike.
Yep.
You know, but I'm on a different timeline than all the messed up people. So,
when's the house going to be done?
This summer has to.
This summer has to.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm really close, actually, really close.
So before Marji, before September,
that's my plan.
Yeah,
you know,
good.
I'll still have some stuff left over because that's how it works out. But I have some window trim on the outside and then my cabinets need to be done. If I got those 2 big items out of the way, then
what was that siding again that you put on there?
They're just the galvanized metal sheets
that
are screwed on the siding on the OSB to the studs, and it goes through the OSB into the studs, so they're spaced accordingly to hit all the studs in there. So,
do you have a picture of it?
Somewhere I can look it up.
Yeah, sometime you send a picture down to Mark and I wanted to see it.
Yeah, it's
very industrial.
Yeah,
very
like
very cool.
It's a mixture between a rocket and a shaft house.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it looks like you could like take it into outer space and be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. If an explosion happened in my basement, that's exactly what would happen. Not come back or something. So
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Kiko, I think it's about time to roll.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the time and the involvement you've had in the Crusher stuff. I think it's going to just add to the event and make it that much better. Helps us accurately convey the history and the story.
Yeah, we're going to have some awesome checkpoints.
Yeah, you know, let people know what they're riding through.
Yeah, I think I hope anyways that I'm going to have a really positive effect on making this a special one.
Yeah. Well, I think you already have. You already have. And I think that the best part of it is going to be once we, you know, solidify the routes and we know what we got.
Yep.
And we get to the point where we can share it. And then people start wrapping their head around what they signed up for.
Yeah.
And then having it all culminate in the finish line.
Yeah,
and the various experiences people will report.
That's why I want to experience that, you know. So that's how come I think I'm gonna be out there helping out.
It's the best part of the events.
So
you know, we work our asses off for 12 months a year because we're always changing the event. So everything, the work never ends. As soon as the event is done, now we're making shit up for next year because we, you know, recreate the wheel every year.
Right.
But it all culminates when you see the variety of emotions and takeaways that people go home with from what they just went through.
And it will stick with them forever.
Oh, it'll stick with them for
a long
time.
I just driving here from, I left Ripley. Took my kid to school in Houghton and then left from there. And it just makes me smile riding here because you get to see a bunch of the 225 stuff.
I know.
We're across
the road.
And I'm kind of smirking, smiling. So that's worth it right there, right? To kind of remember some of that.
Yep.
That shit
Yep.
that you went through. And right now, it's a super positive thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it'll be cool because I think that the Crusher's bringing up a lot of people who
Never been there.
They're
right?
coming because they haven't been here.
Yeah.
There was a lot of when we released the news that we were going to like Keweenaw. I mean, we had the fastest sellout we've ever had for the event. It was like 5 minutes, boom, done.
Wow.
Sold out.
No, I can guarantee you're gonna have a great time there.
Yeah.
Great time.
Yeah, we're looking forward
special
to it.
place.
Looking forward to it. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Maybe we'll check in again with you before the event.
Yeah, whatever. It's hour and a half away. So
All right, roger that.
Thanks to you both.
All right, over and out.
All right.